Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Alex here. It is a lovely, wonderful Monday evening. And I just got back from the compressor store, and my workspace is starting to take shape. Got a couple, but yeah. I got back from the compressor store, and I had to get some different fittings and stuff like that to get my new compressor setup working. So here it is. Here I have my old Stylex G-Frog 01. It's a Korean brand. It's rocking like a quarter horsepower, I think, and it's got no tank. And my problem with this was basically it was because of the fact that it doesn't have a tank. It was basically just leaking air. It was just hissing in order for me to get it down to like 20-15 psi. The only time that I can get it to stop constantly running and hissing and leaking air was if I tightened the regulator to the point where it would hold maybe, I don't know, like 45-50 psi. So that wasn't going to help. So basically I went out and I just bought that baby. It's fairly large, as you can tell. It's made by a company called Scorpio, and it's obviously not Korean made, but I gotta say this is probably a good investment, I would say. It's extremely quiet, but tank capacity is 12 liters, so yeah, it's a pretty big tank compared to no tank here. But yeah, it's got 1 horsepower, runs off of 220 bulb plug like this. I don't know if you can find this outside of Korea. I'm not really sure, but I gotta say it's actually fairly quiet. So the fittings that I got on it are these quick coupling fittings, which I hooked up to this 1/8 mesh hose for the Airbrush, and this thing cost me $45. But it's a Parker, so you know, it's obviously gonna be pretty good. One thing I forgot to mention is that this compressor is oilless, and it's actually fairly quiet. It's actually comparable to this one. So so basically, I mean, my problem was the fact that I couldn't get it down to, you know, like 10-12 psi or whatever. So I have this giant industrial sized air filter and moisture collector regulator. This is the Parker AFR 320-10. It's pretty, you know, I have fairly big hands. It's pretty beefy. So yeah, I'm gonna hook this up to the tank, and then hook that end, which also has another quick disconnect for 1/4 inch, to the 1/4 inch on the hose. That way I can monitor the PSI on the tank, and then a separate gauge for monitoring the PSI going out. And the one good thing about this is the fact that because it's a quick disconnect, I can actually rotate it so that I can, you know, see the gauge and stuff like that without having to worry about you know, untying any of the seals or anything on the couplings and stuff like that. Okay, so you know, release valve is closed. Quick disconnect. That's, you know, that's all I got here. I'm gonna attach this Parker regulator with air filter, and hopefully that goes in. That's locked in. I can adjust the pressure going out with the knob up here. You pull out, you adjust, and you lock it in by pushing back in. And yeah, it's fairly sturdy. And I'll just take this end and stick that onto the. Oops, a bit more. There we go. And yeah. So currently, Yeah, there's no pressure in there. So let me turn on the engine, not the motor, and see how loud it goes. It's not that loud. Fairly quiet if you ask me for something of this size. But it's not, you know, it's not really leaking or anything like that. I don't hear any leaks. So yeah, I mean, obviously gravity is gonna be needed for it to collect any moisture, so I'm gonna have to keep it down. But if I want to look at the pressure, and then yeah. Now, as far as my my workstation setup goes, right now I have a hood range filter there. I have cardboard boxes that I'm meaning to cut up and stuff like that, so I can stick in front of there to clean up any, you know, big chunky debris in that. So yeah, I DIY'd the crap out of this. Basically what I did was I picked up this Scirocco fan for fairly cheap. It was like, I think it was like 45 bucks. The hose, I got about 5 meters worth of it, and that cost me like 8,000 won, so like $7 US. I had these foam boards just kind of sitting around at home, and I found this just kind of lying around in this new house. I think they were using it to like prop up the washing machine and stuff, so I just taped the crap out of it together and covered up this whole wall on the inside, because I actually have double windows. There's 2 sets of windows, so it's like one set closes this way and then the other one just kind of on the side. And so I put it on the inside of the window, that way I can close the outside window and not have any bugs and crap coming out. So pretty much, yeah, I mean, I picked up this plastic container for like $5. The range filter, this I just had lying around. And my girlfriend brought me these foam padding things, which I can use for my alligator clips. These are all made by hand. I've posted on Instagram, you know, the process of making these and stuff like that. So yeah, I just bought these the clip heads in bulk, like 100. They were like 10 cents a piece or something like that. I think it was like 10 bucks for 100 of them. And I picked up these barbecue skewer things from what is it? From Daiso, which is basically like a dollar store. And those were 50 cents for 80 of them. So yeah, I mean, it beats paying money to, you know, get crap that you can make yourself. And then I just picked up, you know, shrinking tube. I don't know what that's called, shrink wrap tube, whatever you call it. And just, you know, you take a plier, close it up on there, and then I just stuck some shrink wrap on top of that and just melted it in. So, so yeah. What else? I picked up a couple of these like LED strips up there. I don't know if you can see that. If I turn them on, they're super bright, but here you go. Yeah, so they're I think they're something like 6800K or something like that. They're really bright. But yeah, I was gonna stick one of them down here, but the wiring wasn't long, and I was too lazy to make these wires longer. The one on the other side. So I was just like, whatever. It's bright enough up there. So yeah, and so if you turn this on, whoa, yeah, air gets sucked out, and you know, that's all she wrote. So yeah, the airbrush that I'm using is the Mr. Hobby Pro Convoy 0.3mm Platinum 2. I think I have the box here somewhere. Here it is. This is the Pokemon by WA Double Action Platinum 0.3 version 2. There's actually a version 1, it's an older one, but this is the newest one that comes in the 0.3 flavor. 0.3mm flavor, which is pretty good for most everybody's uses. So that's my airbrush. It's the PS289. It has a it's got an air pressure adjuster thing here, which I probably could have used with the old one, but I wanted to see how, I wanted to be able to gauge how much pressure was coming out, so yeah, and then I have that attached to a, I think it's called a Beetle Bug company. I think it's Korean, but yeah, a mini, you know, water catch moisture trap thingamabobber. So yeah, and I plan on getting some quick disconnects so that I can be able to switch out this one with the other one. The other airbrush that I have is a really cheap, like 30 bucks. The Stylix THP03. This one not as fancy as the Pro Convoy, which, I mean, this is by no means fancy at all. I think I picked this up for, yeah, like $100 in Japan. But yeah, this is like 30 bucks. I plan on using this. It's not a bad airbrush. It's actually fairly cheap, and it works pretty well. Yeah, I plan on using this more for doing like you know, top coats and stuff like that, because this is kind of going to be my, what's the word, my burner, whatever you want to call it. So yeah. So yeah, probably, you know, primers and top coats and stuff like that for that. These are all my dia. Like, yeah, you know, like gunmetals and you know, blacks and grays, reds and some top coat, whites, blacks, colors. And this is all my Mr. Color stuff. I picked a lot of this up in Japan, and I think there was only one place. Yeah, so that's about it as far as the room tour goes. I've got the other side of the room, which is pretty much my workspace. You know, that'll be the spray roof, and this is my workspace. Yeah, I mean, I pretty much just did everything on the cheap. You know, dish rack was like $2. That's nothing. Yeah, I just picked up all these like racks and stuff like that, even the back wall hanging thing, as well as these, like, you know, these little hook rack things. All picked up from Daiso for like $1, $2 a piece. So yeah, I mean, nothing really to write home about, but it's just finally nice to say that it's mine. Considering, like, I haven't been able to paint and stuff like that in my own home because my old place had only one window, whereas this room has 4 different rooms and plenty of windows and stuff like that, so I can you know, I can set up something like that. So oh yeah, these are the 50-cent barbecue skewers that I picked up from Daiso. Yeah. Anyway, that's about it. I mean, it's just, you know, decals. Those parts. I got more in a different bag I gotta get out. But yeah, I mean, not a whole lot. Paint trays, random enamels, and I got a crap ton of freaking spray cans. It's ridiculous. There's a whole bunch there because, you know, being that I can't have an airbrush set up at home. Whole bunch of spray cans in there. I got another box in the other room too, so I'm probably gonna have to decant a whole bunch of these because I actually quite like this color, and I don't think they make them in. They might. I don't think they make them in the bottle form. This mica red is a great color. It's got these like small little like flecks, and you can kind of tell from the can tops, like basically roughly what color it is. But yeah, this color is really great. So I'm definitely going to be decanting these and sticking them in a bottle and stuff. So yeah, I mean, these are lacquer based, so yeah, I mean, they'll work fine. Yeah, I mean, yeah, so that's pretty much it. This is my box of thinners and whatnot. I think that's pretty much it as far as the room goes. My posters are falling down. And so yeah, I mean, look forward to some work in progresses coming up soon. I don't know what I'm going to start with yet, but I'll probably start with finishing that Virgin Logic right there, which I've been putting off because of the move that I've been doing. I'm moving into this new house, so anyway, I think that's about it. I'm sorry it's kind of long, but I think I might just like chop it up and kind of break it up into sections or whatever. But anyway, that's my setup, and I've worked fairly hard at trying to get it up and running. So I'll check you guys later. See you in the next one. Bye.